jest pokaz stary gry Blood of DawnWalker. Ty, nie, teraz to chyba jest. Ty, pokaż, to dosłownie w tej chwili się zaczyna.
Które to było? To było to taka pseudomoba?
Nie wiem, zobaczmy.
The Blood of DawnWalker is the first chapter of a brand new role-playing saga.
Akurat Piotrek, ty obczaisz, a ja
Polska giereczka.
Epic adventure.
A ja wiem, okej, ja kumam. To jest ten taki Wiedźmin. To jest od twórców, tam od ludzi, którzy odeszli z CD Projektu.
Tak.
I robią takiego swojego Wiedźmina, powiedzmy.
That sounds like my kind of game, I'm gonna be honest. There are so many things to come tonight, and I know everyone here is really excited to share this all for like
Ja się na chwilę
the
wyciszę,
very
Piotrek,
first
dobra? Bo
time.
będę
But
kończył streama,
for
też nie
everyone
będę
at home,
przeszkadzał.
you're probably
Dobra.
wondering, well, what does that mean
To
for
pa, pa.
us?
Dzięki,
Well,
Hir.
you're gonna hear
Pa,
more
pa.
about the world, more about the lore, and for the very first time, you're gonna see the full CGI trailer for the game as well. But it's not just any trailer, right?
It's not just some random trailer. It is actually the game's opening, setting up the stage for the whole game. It shows this one moment in history when the world changes forever.
Wow.
Okej.
I can't
Wow.
wait to see how well the community does pouring over every second of this trailer.
Zobaczmy.
In the reveal campaign so far, they've been incredible.
Oh yes, tell me about it.
Wydaje mi się, że
You guys are mind-blowing.
nie ma zbyt
Discord
polskiego
have
akcentu, pan
been
po lewej.
incredible, but soon we're going to throw it over to a bunch of the devs, and you're going to dive further into the world of DawnWalker. You're going to learn more about the
Ale co to jest za
characters,
giereczka?
the lore, and
Co
the
to za typ
art.
gry?
Then we're going to weave in a few
To jest
songs as well,
RPG?
which should really help set the mood for the game itself. I've been listening to them non-stop, and they are incredible, right? Lastly, make sure you stick around all the way through, because we also have a very brief but very real gameplay teaser as well.
Yes, and it is an actual look at the state of the game as it is right now, straight from the engine. And in the meantime, we will be checking up on your comments, so make sure to drop all your thoughts or your impressions in the chat. My teammates, MJ and Mati, are already there with you.
MJ and Mati zaraz.
We'll respond whenever we can. And this is it for now.
Yes, that's it for now.
Let's get into the mood with some music, and let's hear from our game director, Konrad Tomaszkiewicz, and our narrative director, Jakub Szamałek, who will tell you about how it all began.
That's right, friends. The time has finally come. Sit back, relax, and get ready to experience the
No.
world created. by
Wiedźmin
Rebel.
5! Dartian! Wow! Zasiądźcie wygodnie, bo oglądamy Cinematic Wiedźmina 5. Polska gra! Poland! Ty, to chyba w Polsce. O kurde. Jak w prawdziwości. Ale grafika, no, widzowie. Na jakim to jest silniku? Grafa giga dobra. Ty, dobrze, że teraz te karty nowe wypuszczają, bo nie wiem, czy mi to pójdzie, szczerze. Czyli to będzie gra muzyczna, o to chodzi. Oj, nierealistyczne światło tam było chyba. Skrzypek Hero. Dobra kolizja obiektów, nawet takich drobnych jak palce w ogóle. Dobra, koniec tych żartów. Powinni zrobić takie ładne przejście z tego w trailer.
I decided to open the Rebels company because I felt that there is a huge space for innovation and for evolution in the open world.
Kurde, open world!
And to achieve that, you need to have independence and artistic freedom and sometimes you need to make
Powiem wam szczerze, ja nie jestem entuzjastą open worldów, ale zobaczymy.
To do that is to open your own company and make your own choices.
Geralt, no, bez kitu.
The second Fallout from '98?
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorite games ever, and I was so excited when you used that as a point of reference because for some time now I've been aching to return to the promise and the value of old school computer RPGs, and to combine it with modern graphics, with bleeding edge tech, with a dynamic, fast-paced combat, merge these two together and see what comes out.
Exactly, and of course we will not do the post-apocalyptic game, but what was really interesting in the second Fallout is the freedom. You could do there whatever you want.
Czyli darmowe domy były w Falloutie 2.
Goal in front of you. You don't have main quest which telling you, okay, right now do that, next do that. You just like, you know, shape your own main story.
Like Valbion Online.
Your own experience, and this is like the total freedom in the games.
Yeah, and as a writer, this is something that excites me about the games the most. The choices, the freedom, non-linearities, and I think this is something that's truly unique to video games. Like, you can't emulate that in any other medium. So I'm so glad that we're making a game that sets out to explore that space and see what new is to be done there. So that's great.
Also, if you will add to that the sense of urgency, the time, which actually is not really explored in the video games, and day and night loop, it would be really interesting because it will make the game different.
Yeah, no, I get that because the sense of urgency is so important in the context of open world RPGs where players can
Czyli nie będzie gwinta.
distracted and kind of get away from
W
the main
Wiedźminie
story.
5 nie będzie
So
gwinta.
finding a way to make sure that they remain invested, that they remain at the edge of their seats is so important, and I think it's something that's lacking from the games in that niche.
And if you will add to that the hero, who have the different loop at the day and different loop at the night, it makes the game really unique.
Mi Awec już też nie przeszkadza, że ktoś ma akcent. Jeśli o to ci chodzi. Loading screen teraz jest, lokacji. O! Cinematic jest w końcu, lecimy. Bandai Namco! From the director of Wiedźmin. Lat 1347, czyli przed bitwą pod Grunwaldem.
Must be here somewhere.
It's all right.
Czy ona jest wiedźmą?
Don't hurt her!
You gave us quite the chase, young.
Please, sir. She's just a child!
Roderick, remind me, did I make an exception for children?
No, sire.
No. That would have been foolish, would it not? They spread the plague just as well as adults. And there's only one way to stamp out this sickness.
No!
Not just a runner, but a fighter too.
Klimacik jest.
Had we met under a different moon, things might have ended there.
Czyli różne buildy wampirów. Wampir mag, wampir bokser, wampir asasyn, wampir rycerz.
Lunka! She needs help, fast. Please, let us pass through. I beg of you. Please. Please.
Zrobiłem z dziecka jednego ze swoich.
I don't know. How? I am life. I am death. I am everything in between. I have been watching your little valley. Pestilence, famine, killing. Blood spilled carelessly, like water. Things will be different now.
O kurde, ale plot twist. Wampiry dobre.
For all of you.
Nie spodziewałem się, szczerze mówiąc. A plot twist w tym cinematiku. Myślałem, że wezmą dziecko, przerobią wampira, człowieka zjedzą, a tu kurde wampirzy renegaci.
After the events shown in the intro, and this is just the beginning of a greater saga we were planning. So we get to meet the character at the beginning of his adventure, which I think is really cool. And Cohen in general is so much fun to write and flesh out because he's not your typical game protagonist. He's not a grizzled veteran who's seen it all, who is cynical about the world, who comments the world with like one-liners. He's a young guy who, at heart, is emotional, he can get vulnerable, he's honest about how he feels.
What I love in Cohen is that he'll be never a superhero. He'll be never overpowered.
Czyli nie da się być OP.
As a human, he can fight with a sword, he can use and discover dark magic, but he can be killed by anyone. At the night, he encountered a lot more difficult enemies. He can use some vampiric abilities, not only in combat, but also he can use it to explore the world and to see the world in a totally different way.
Yeah, and he'll need all these cool superpowers because he's facing formidable enemies. This clique of vampires who decided to take over the world, turn it upside down,
mówiłem o
and set the
Maciejczaku?
rules. And they are led by this super old and immensely powerful vampire called Brensis. Our game is set in 14th century Europe, and it's a world in deep crisis. First, the continent has been ravaged by the plague, then wars, and now famine. And all the while, vampires have been watching from the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. And finally, when humanity is at its lowest, they come out of the shadows, they overthrow the feudal lords, and they move into their castles.
Czyli najważniejszy element każdej gry, tryb dnia i nocy, przerobili jako istotny gameplayowo. Fiu.
This time killed the whole villages to prevent, the plague. And the vampires, they defend Cohen and his sister. They even healed Lunka. And, I know that people need to pay taxes in blood, but it's not a huge cost of safe and good life.
Well, to that I'd say that vampires' favors are uncertain. And sure, they protect the people of the valley where the game takes place, but they see them as cattle, so they protect them to
Czyli
then
nie są
lead them
renegatami,
ultimately
wampirzy.
kill them. And
A będzie
the blood
gameplay?
tax you mentioned, it's taken from everyone, the frail, the weak, the old. Each week they have to convene at the church for a blood mass. So for some people, that's deeply traumatizing or might even end up in them dying. So in the end, I'd say the balance is more or less equal. And that's something that I actually really like about our setting, this world, that nothing is simple. Nothing is just black or just white. And you have to decide for yourself, like, what do I think is the right choice? What is the path I want to
Ma
take?
być na
and
koniec
what is the
gameplay?
path I want to avoid? And ultimately, Cohen's family ends up in the dungeons of the Vampire Lord. And even as Cohen is trying to free them, he will meet people who still support the regime.
It's even more challenging for players because Cohen has only 30 days and 30 nights to save his family.
Okej, czyli to będzie gra, gdzie masz limit czasu. Jak w Disco Elysium.
Wow! Gameplay freedom. In our, it means narrative freedom. We don't think about the quest like the main quest or the side quest. We just have quests players will craft their experience through the game by themselves, and nobody will have the same.
A, jest. Stay till end for a gameplay.
Native sandbox.
Yeah, that's something that really excites me because that means that no two playthroughs will be identical. That each player will have a unique experience. And that's the true magic of video games, and that's why I love making them.
Znaczy limit czasowy dla mnie potencjalnie spoko.
Welcome back everybody, and I hope you agree that was worth the wait. Now, the best news is that we are just getting started tonight. And first things first, Dominika, that trailer.
I know, right? And for our Polish community out there, good news, we will be dropping the Polish version of the trailer.
Polska!
Dubbing on our social media channels right after the stream, so keep an eye on them.
I think a lot of people are going to want to rewatch that trailer, so I bet that they're really, really happy. But we've got a lot to unpack here, right? So you mentioned before that the trailer actually serves as the intro to the game.
Yeah.
So everything that we all just saw, that happens before the game starts?
Yeah, so the cinematic takes place 2 years before the events from the game. So 2 years before.
Powiem wam szczerze, nie no, dla mnie ten cinematic był fajny. Generalnie premis gry brzmi spoko, ale wiecie, dużo rzeczy można przedstawić w fajny sposób bez gameplayu, więc gimme. Natomiast mam wrażenie, że ma przynajmniej jakieś takie kopium, że Polacy potrafią robić narrację w giereczkach, która jest taka, stoi w kontrze do takiej zamerykanizowanej. Więc ja w sumie w dobrą, fabularną gierkę polską bym zagrał. W ogóle jest taka giereczka też polska, Holcim chyba bodajże, ona już się wyszła? Bym, że chciałem zagrać. Ja mam wrażenie z tym goziomeczkiem, że go skądś znam, ale nie wiem skąd.
In the video we just saw, Conrad mentioned that she was healed.
Może do jakiegoś aktora jest podobny?
Does that mean she wasn't turned into a vampire then?
No, Lunka was indeed healed from the plague, the Black Death, by Brancis, this old vampire, leader of the vampire clique. And turning humans into vampires works a bit differently in our game, but we actually have another duo of devs who are going to talk about it in a moment.
Okay, well then I won't steal their thunder. I'll let them explain it. But I guess what I should ask is, who or
Hostował turnieje Gwinta? Okay.
That is such a loaded question. So many layers to it, honestly. Okay, but so the basic premise is like this. Dawnwalkers look like humans during the day, but they turn into vampires after dusk. But they're not actually humans and they're not actually vampires. They are something in between.
Okay, very mysterious. I love it. Now, DawnWalker itself, it's a brand new IP, right?
Yeah, it is completely original. And I think this is what actually makes this project really special for us. Because it's a handcrafted universe, of course, rooted in real history, inspired by some myths and legends. But
a powiedzieli w jakim kraju dzieje się akcja, skoro to się dzieje na naszej ziemi, jak rozumiem? Mam nadzieję, że w Polsce.
Knowing that you guys have full control, that you've got a vision for how this is going to be and that you can actually implement that. It's just so exciting.
It's so exciting for us as well.
Yeah,
you know?
I can imagine.
Yeah.
Now, I could
Powiedzieli
talk
tylko,
about
że w
this
Europie.
all day, but we should move on and talk about the art of DawnWalker, the world and its inhabitants, which includes vampires.
Yes, and we will meet with our art director, Bartłomiej Gaweł, and our environment artist, Adam Pajet.
And we're also going to hear more about the characters and narrative design as well, right?
Yes, and for that we will meet with our writer, Ariana Sierkiewicz, and our creative director, Mateusz Tomaszkiewicz. Take it away, guys.
Patrzcie, jaki patriotyczny biznes, sami Polacy.
Man, look at this place. That would be perfect for the writing team.
Not just for them. I love storytelling myself. Since I can remember, telling stories through images is what I love to do.
Yeah.
So when I received the first script for the DawnWalker, I fell in love with it right away.
I think for me, what got me was the concept art when I first saw those Carpathian villages hugging the mountain slopes, the valleys, forests, and then also the muddy streets of Svartrau and the long shadow of the cathedral. It all felt very authentic, muddy, and also very familiar, homely, and, well, Eastern European.
Not just Eastern Europe.
No, yeah.
It's a mix of predominantly Romanian motifs with broader influences of Balkan cultures. It gave us a freedom of creation. It's a vast range of inspiration from Polish log houses to Ukrainian or Balkan clothing to Romanian defensive churches.
That variety in that broad spectrum was also interesting to get because I never thought as an environment artist I would have to learn in Romanian how to Google specific museums just to get the references.
On the other hand, we also set a boundary for ourselves.
Są wampiry i dużo nawiązań do Rumunii. To się Kiszakowi spodoba.
And this is meant to ensure the visual consistency of the world.
Yeah, and that is also quite a challenge to make sure that what you create is authentic, grounded, and has a real sense of place, but at the same time isn't just a picture and invites exploration and
Będzie
promotes that
protagonistą,
I
Mati?
wanted to see how far we could push realism so that players truly feel part of the narrative. But this is not a simulation of medieval life.
gameplay. Not at all.
Realism can be boring, and we wanted to create something exciting. And that's where the magic comes in.
Yes, the magic.
Our magic isn't filled with fireballs or flashy lights.
Yeah, it's probably even more interesting to get right than the realism part of it because when a quest brief comes through and the magic is right. So, hold on.
Okay.
Environment art is something I understand, right? I do it every day. I understand the creative process behind it, but I've never touched anything to do with character art, which is your speciality. So, would you mind walking me through what was your creative process in coming up with that whole thing?
Sure. So we approach the work on vampires very seriously. It's a whole new universe. What's better is that it's a mix of familiar elements with a fresh twist.
O robieniu
We all
wampirasów.
know that vampires are well defined in pop culture and have been around for a long time. So we wanted to create something fresh. So what primarily sets them apart is their teeth. Our vampire teeth keep growing throughout their lives. The older the vampire, the more teeth they have. So instead of two sharp teeth, they have a series of needle-like fangs, densely growing from their jaws, often emerging from different parts of their skull as they age. The teeth keep growing because the vampire can use them to create another vampire. And the mechanism is very simple. The vampire pulls out his fang and drives it into the heart of its victim.
Wow.
So what's interesting is that
Czyli im jesteś
our
starszy, tym
vampire's
więcej
teeth aren't
dzieci
visible at
wampirzych
first.
możesz
They can
stworzyć.
extend as the mouth opens, and it looks really creepy.
Piotrusiu, boję się.
I still remember the first time that the animations came through from the character art team, showing the mouth opening and the teeth growing, and it was absolutely disgusting. I loved every bit of it.
To jest Wiedźmin 5 właśnie, będzie o wampirach.
So Cohen's Argeria, the silver poisoning he got when he was working in the mines, is both a blessing and a curse. Because on one hand, it weakens him. On the other hand, it protects him from becoming a vampire fully. So, you know, he gets to traverse both worlds, both the world of humanity and the world of the
Siri?
creatures of the night.
Dodali Siri?
Yeah, well, he was kind of used to dealing with the vampires since it's been like a couple years since Francis took over. Now he has to find a way to deal with things like undead lurking in ancient tombs that should have remained closed. Kobolds that used to only prey on miners going way too deep
Będą
into the
koboldy.
mines, or
Świeczkę
even
trzeba będzie
Uriashes,
zabrać komuś.
who used to live high up in the mountains, secluded, and now they are in Francis's troops.
Yeah, and they are vastly different.
Oh yeah, they all have their own separate cultures, and well, if you want to deal with them, I would kinda like to you should get to know them a bit, or else you might get tricked, because...
Storytelling material for us, for
Yes.
building all of that content. For example, Brancis, he had to normalize this thing for the humanity, convince everyone this is the new normal.
Yeah.
And the way he did this was, first of all, you know, there was a lot of social turmoil, and on the other hand, a lot of deeply held religious beliefs. And he twisted them. He turned himself into this messianic figure. So, for example, he introduced these blood masses where he
Jak w Diablo 4.
vampire blood, right? And at the same time, they have these other things like punishing criminals with like draining them dry.
Yeah, but well, you know, some people actually liked it because once Brancis came in, he set up a new order of things. He finally got down to business, and then he locked the valley off so that nobody can touch it. No outside influence can touch it, and well, some others did not like it so much. And
Czyli
they
sympatyczny
began
jest
to
setting
reach
gry.
into
Masz
the
takich
depths of
wampirzych
forgotten magic,
overlordów,
stuff like that.
którzy dbają, żeby nie było rzezi, żeby nie było zamieszek. Jak ktoś jest na przykład rzezimieszkiem, to go wysysają.
That is a lot of work.
No, sympatycznie się tam wydaje, nie wiem.
Absolutely. There are so many things we need to remember to make this into a cohesive whole. And at the same time, you have the challenges posed by the open world itself. Because, you know,
Wampirza
there is a risk
policja,
of
no?
the content being formulaic or repetitive. We handcraft all of it, and we focus on telling these unique themes we really care about.
Oh yeah, we want to talk about loss, about the meaning of family, about opposing tyranny, about trying to coexist with creatures you've never had to coexist with before.
Well, but that would be difficult to do with just Coin and Princess, right?
Impossible, actually. We had to create a whole host of characters, and we really wanted to avoid having cardboard cutouts, like without...
Kojarzy mi się z takim chińskim bajkiem, Promised Neverland trochę. Nie do końca, ale trochę.
Your goals and ambitions may overlap, and you befriend them, or it may be the opposite, and you go on a warpath with them. But, you know, given the goal that you have ahead of you, it might be good to have some friends to go along with.
Well, but you could go on your own, right? If you
Pierwszy
wanted.
sezon bardzo fajny był, no.
Yeah, you could just grab a sword and go storm the castle.
Yeah.
But, you know, it might be wise to, for instance, find the rebel cell and try to dismantle Brent's rule with them. Or, I don't know, listen to what an agent from outside of Bales and Gora has to say.
Which is exactly why I love how we structured the game, because we offer a lot of choice in which characters do you want to interact with, which you might want to skip altogether. And also on top of that,
Dobra, to ja
you have this
zarzucam
layer
temacik.
of,
Co w ogóle sądzicie o mechanice bycia pośpieszanym w RPG-u? Wydaje mi się, że masa osób się tego boi strasznie. Generalnie gry chyba kiedyś częściej to robiły. Obecnie to jest taki relikt, że robią to albo jakieś dosyć hardkorowe obecnie giereczki typu, nie wiem, Firmenhager, albo giereczki, które są... w którym to nie do końca jest prawda, bo na przykład w Disco Elysium niby masz limit 10 dni, a w praktyce nie da się tego sfailować chyba, tak mi się wydaje. Okej, większość z was mówi, że nie lubi tego. Nie lubi być pośpieszanym.
My favorite one is the blood hunger. It lets me play a real vampire. I don't just have to drink blood to use my cool abilities in combat, but if I talk to someone without feeding first, I might just lose control and I might eat them. And it's not going to be just any random peasant that I won't care about. I can eat my best friend. And I will break my heart. And I will break my quests.
Yeah, so you better keep him well fed.
Yeah, definitely. Do you have a fave?
Yeah, I really enjoy the ones that are revolving around Brent's. Because, like, it makes him this active antagonist. You know, this means that he will basically react to what Cohen is doing. He will pass these...
Wyobraźcie sobie Lost State w Wiedźminie. Jesteś w środku partyjki Gwinta i wyskakuje ci: przegrałeś. Ciri nie żyje. Wczytaj, zacznij od początku.
Running the show. It's also his 3 powerful vampire allies.
Yeah, when I saw them in CGI, that was such a hype moment. Finally animated, voiced, and just loved it.
Yeah, and on top of being cool characters, they also have their own like spheres of influence, and you get to dismantle their organization step by step, making it simpler for you to confront...
Jiu-Jitsu schowało twoją wiadomość, bo bot myślał, że jakiegoś linka wysłałeś.
That is time itself, because every time you do something important in the game, when you complete an objective or you complete a quest, time moves forward.
Yeah, but what I really like about this also is it's not like real time. You actually get to control how much of this resource you want to spend, right?
Yeah, you have to manage it wisely, but if you just want to enjoy the view or just take a stroll, you can without stress. But once you get down to business, you have to do it smart.
Yeah, so I think all of these things combined, handmade quests and the gameplay systems, create for this really fun, unique experience.
O, ciekawostka od Witoxa. Ciekawostka a propos głównej postaci tej gry. Też ma na imię Cohen jak pewien wiedźmin. Cohen posiadał podstawowe wiedźmińskie zdolności, potrafił używać znaków. Ważyć eliksiry. Okej, to z gier, tak? Rozumiem. Jakieś lore dodatkowe.
The whole Rebels pack, you are the best and it's a privilege to work with you. The Blood of DawnWalker is a very special game for us because it's first truly ours. What you have seen so far is only the beginning. In upcoming months, we will share more with you. But for now, I have one more surprise for you.
Gameplay. Wow! Skibidi. Widać, że przy Wiedźminie niektórzy pracowali. Ej, co to robi Olga Tokarczuk? Ej, teraz się zorientowałem. Teraz jest wyścig z czasem. Co pierwsze, skończy się mój subaton za 9 minut, czy pokaz gameplayu? Nie wiem. Nie, ale muzyczka fajna akurat. Dobry soundtraczek. Nie no, bęgerek! Ej, wrzucasz to w Wiedźminka i wszyscy mówią, a zajebiste. Zaraza! No. O, teraz będzie chyba gameplay. Świat potrzebuje tego, czego się boi. A to tylko taki glimpsik, tak? Aha, czyli gameplay reveal prawidłowy dopiero in the summer.
We are back. And wow, do we have a lot to talk about. But first things first, some of those concept arts, I need them as wallpapers like yesterday if you can.
That's okay, I got you.
Powiem wam tak. Ja kibicuję tej giereczce z paru powodów. Jest Polska! Setting brzmi ciekawie. Wait, to u nich? Komuś tam alarm się włączył! Jest Polska, ale jesteśmy tutaj patriotami. Setting wygląda spoko. Muzycznie prawdopodobnie będzie bęgerek. Konceptualnie jest fajny, w sensie, nie wiem, koncept arcik i tak dalej. Teraz najważniejsza rzecz, musi tylko jeszcze dowieść gameplay. Kibicuję, chociaż wiadomo, ja nie napalam się na gry żadne. Więc taki jestem. Tak bym dodał na wishlistę i se obserwował.